listening to the most original talk radio station anywhere. We are LA Talk Radio at latalkradio.com.
You're listening to Fouché Way with Brandon Fouché, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you for tuning to the Fouché Way radio show, live every Thursday at 1 o'clock p.m., sponsored by the nonprofit organization called Canine Hope for Improvement Program, where we hope to improve the quality of our dogs' lives by moving towards a no-kill society. The number here is 818-602-4929. Well, more times than not, I run into opposition with people because I'm trying to get them to change the way they are living with their dog. And I run into this opposition not because they don't particularly believe what I'm saying, it's just that they find it difficult to believe that the things that I am saying are the things that are creating the problems for them. Because to them, the things that they are doing seem normal. I always compare my relationship with dogs like I would the relationship with people. And if you think about it, a lot of the problems that we have with our personal relationships can be as emotional as they are dealing with an aggression dog. And they can lead to a breakup. Just think about how you feel when your dog chews up your couch. Now, I'm sure your dog was having a wonderful time until you came along and showed your disapproval. Now let's think about the relationship between two people that have been together for some time, and you will find that they can do things that for some reason become irritating to each other. And they find it very easy to voice their dislikes. An example would be things like, I don't like the way you chew your food. Or I don't like the choice of clothing that you wear. Or I don't like how you fix your hair. Or something as simple as, I don't like the way you slurp your tea. Those little things can trigger behaviors between two individuals that can lead to monumental problems. And it is just that subtle and simple with our dogs. There are certain movements that we can make at certain times, no matter why we make them, can trigger positive or negative behaviors in our dogs. So when I'm talking to people about making changes in their lifestyle, these are the kind of changes that I'm talking about. Subtle, yet profound. And yes, this can be difficult. Just as difficult as it is for that person to stop slurping their tea or eliminating a desire to wear a certain type of clothing. That's how simple it can be. Sometimes I look at my dog and it will trigger a reaction in them. Sometimes I can tilt my head and hold my hand a certain way and open it, and it will cause them to react. Your body language and your eyes can trigger communications that you may not be aware of. I have always said that our dogs study us more than we study them. They are studying our body language, nonverbal communication. But can we focus on it enough to perfect this language? It's truly a language that is understood by dogs. When our dogs start to vocalize to us, it's because we talk to them. And so they begin to talk to us. The problem is that in talking to us, they begin telling us what to do. When I talk about vocalizing, I mean whining and sometimes barking. And when we start answering their whining and barking, they learn a behavior. And we begin to notice their reactions and feed into it by talking more. We say things like, what do you want? Do you want to go outside? Do you want to go for a walk? Do you want a cookie? They begin to learn that they can make us work, man. Now, I know in the beginning, this looks cute. But when it becomes neurotic, it's not so cute anymore. But the behavior is set now, and we didn't realize it, And we begin thinking that the dog has a problem that's probably genetic when it's really not genetic. It's learned. And we taught it to them because we responded to it. And now, every time you get on the phone and start talking to someone, or turn on the radio or the TV, or have a friend over, where's your dog? Right under you, whining. Probably some little cute thing in Atlanta named Bear is probably doing it right now. But people, if you don't learn the difference between genetic behaviors and learned behaviors, you're going to be in trouble with working with dogs. This reminds me, there was a woman who had a pet crocodile, and she said that she was going to teach him not to be so snappy. I'm sure we all can guess what happened there, man, when millions of years of evolution kicked in. She was going to teach him how not to be so snappy. What was she thinking? See, it's really people that exist and think like this that are making it difficult for us to be successful with dogs that are challenging. If we can't get this together and deal with the situation for what it is, then we're going to continue killing for what we don't understand. This is the reason why people can continue to say that they don't believe in discipline or any form of domination for animals. It's that kind of thinking that's keeping this problem alive. Look, if you are an abuser, then you are an abuser. No amount of talking is probably going to change your mind. I'm not talking to you because you are the problem. I'm talking to those people who are not abusers, who love their dogs, but they need help in understanding how nature intended for them to process information. I don't want them to get it twisted by focusing on the concept of an abuser and relating that to what we have to do with our dogs to save their lives. I don't want that to happen. So I want that person or those people to hear me good and listen to the people that come on this show because they once thought like you. You have to separate from your emotional hang-ups, feeling sorry for yourself because of something that may have happened in your past and projecting that onto the dog, because dogs don't feel sorry for themselves. They live in the moment. And I don't want you to twist leadership into an abusive mindset. And if you do, you are truly not seeing nature the way it is. You know, I once asked a woman who was a horse enthusiast, how could she justify chasing her horse in a turnout with a whip, but had a problem raising her voice to her dog? And dogs raise their voices by growling and barking all the time. She just kind of looked at me and started tilting her head and twirling her hair, and she said, I guess I never looked at it that way. But I want you to know something, you know. I'm not talking to you about something I read in a book. This information comes straight from the source, observing natural organic behaviors over many years of study, 27 days and 24 hours a day, man. Back to back, 3 sides flat, cover to cover, up and down and all around. And still, we're just scratching the surface. And when I talk to people, I want them to know you can't think that what I'm looking at day in and day out isn't real. And that the behaviors that I see every day, behaviors that most are unwilling to work with because it requires the assistance of a dominant pack, 20 to 30 strong, isn't happening. This is not only real, it's necessary. This is not book knowledge. This is pack knowledge. And the book's not ready yet, but it's on its way. It's on its way. I look at nature and the behaviors of dogs, and I accept it. There are many who may not be willing to accept. But that's a problem that they are going to have to deal with. I'm accepting what I see, and understanding what I'm seeing. And so I begin moving forward from there, and until you're able to do that and keep neutral, then I don't think you're going to be ready to deal with dogs that need special attention. I know it would be nice, wonderful if aggression did not exist. I think it would be wonderful if it did not exist in our world with people too, but it does. The best thing that we can do is try to understand how we got to this point that we are in today and move from there. Every relationship that we have been in that has failed, we wish that we could have made it work. If that person could have just done what I wanted them to do, you know, that things probably would have been okay. And the truth is, you know, we think like that. But the real truth is that we are different. We are not the same. And in understanding this, it should make it easier to understand our dogs if we would look at them as though we were in a relationship. Because we really are. So we have to be level-headed and look at them for what they are, man. Truth. That's what they are. There is no pretense. What you see is what you get. And accepting it has a way of setting you free, non-objectively looking at what's in front of you. If you wished that aggression did not exist, that it was not there, then you're not going to be able to see what you need to see in order to get through your problem. You see, I've experienced what I'm talking about over and over again. That's why I can talk to you this way with confidence. And the people that come on this show, they are a segue into a refreshing way of thinking that has and is continuing to force them to move forward with socialization of their dogs. Now, I say socialization because socialization requires that you move forward. And if we were instructed from the beginning that socialization was the primary, we would have socialized our dogs with everything that existed in our environment, absent of predatory behavior. But we were not exposed to that way of thinking. And so training took the primary position, and we subsequently began moving backwards. And as the years of predatory activity progressed, our relationship regressed to where we are today. Some say it was an experiment gone wrong in breeding. And so prey toys were introduced to expose the genetic behavior that was lying dormant within the dog, so that we could separate the classes of dogs with aggressive or non-aggressive behavior, making it easy to single out the defect and then kill them. I don't know. That would be an elaborate plan, but it works well for a movie concept. You know, I'm sure, and I get here every week and I talk to you, and it sounds like I'm saying that what I'm saying is the only way. And when I'm talking, it's going to sound like that because I'm here doing my thing, man, explaining my element. But the truth is, if what you're doing is working, then don't stop doing what you're doing. So if you're training and it's working, then don't stop. But if what you're doing is not working and you don't change your formula, yet you disagree with me, something's wrong. I'm sure you may say, well, you know, I will never put a dog down, but it will spend the rest of its life in a cage? I mean, to me, that's a failure. And so the people that are on the show today are moving forward. They're not putting their dogs in cages. They're trying to get a different kind of knowledge that's going to have a paradigm shift where they can be successful with their dogs. And so our first guest, one of which who's been on a couple of times, her name is Sarah. She is now with her partner named Hank. Hank, Sarah, are you there?
Hi. Yes, indeed.
All right. So you guys have a family. Let me just paint the picture to the people. You have a family that has come together. You've had a dog. Sarah has dogs. Those dogs are coming together. The dogs were aggressive with each other, and you got kids involved, and you got this new relationship going. And we've heard from Sarah before, so I want to talk to Hank first. I mean, Hank, you were a person that really weren't involved with pit bulls. Is that correct?
I had never had a pit bull before.
Mm-hmm.
Hadn't much time with them.
Mm-hmm.
Had been bit by my neighbor's pit bull
Oh, bad experience.
in the past.
Uh-huh.
And that was pretty much my experience. I being a football fan, I knew about the Michael Vick thing and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And, I saw the image. I didn't have any real preconceived notion aside from the one that bit me, and I wasn't that predisposed toward liking him. But I saw how my neighbor, who's someone who I like very much, was so devoted to this dog. I said, all right, well, I'll give him a pass because he didn't bite me that bad.
That's pretty good.
I grew up with dogs.
Uh-huh.
And, my first dog, who I had since I was a baby, lived to be 15, and he was a poodle mix.
Uh-huh.
Great dog, very friendly, and not an aggressive bone in his body. And he was my best pal growing up. And then, I've always had dogs, but I've never lived with aggressive breeds like that until I got Donkey, who looked a lot like the dog I grew up with when she was a puppy. But then she started getting older and started showing aggression towards other animals.
Uh-huh. She's
a great hunter. I would find dead possums in the backyard. She got skunked 30 sometimes in our backyard. She's and she would get a little crazy. We got kicked out of more than one dog park. She would escape from the yard sometimes, and invariably someone would come around with a stitched up dog and say, I was told that this dog lives here, and say, all right, let me get my checkbook, and what was the damage, and I'm sorry, and all that. And I didn't quite know what to do with that. And that was when I was living with my ex-wife. We had another dog who was completely submissive,
uh-huh.
To the point of being extremely whiny and obnoxious.
Right.
So we, so I had to deal with Donkey and who she was. This other dog we had was the only one that she could ever get along with.
Uh-huh.
Now, I also have a cat. You didn't mention that.
Oh, that's right.
Intro.
Yeah.
And so Sarah and I decided to move in together. I knew she had Leilani and Hudson. She knew I had Donkey. We got Leilani and Donkey together. Donkey immediately went after her. We broke it up. There's a lot of fear involved with that. We decided, let's try it anyway. We'll be talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what we can make of this. So things came together. It was fairly tense. We put the dogs in crates. Everybody was kind of tiptoeing around trying to figure out, well how are we going to make this work? They wear muzzles when they're together. And then the great cat incident happened,
yes.
where we finally had a day when the kids were with their mother. We were relaxing in the morning, and all of a sudden Sarah gets up and starts screaming because Leilani has my cat, Fela, in her mouth.
Yes.
And Hudson is nibbling on his tail.
Oh, God.
Now, Fela I've had for 10 years. He's one of the most charismatic cats you'll ever be around, and just a great kitty who I feel very, very close to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was upset. And then he disappeared, and it turned out he had a broken leg. There was no blood. We got him back. Thought he was going to have the leg amputated, didn't get amputated. I was having a lot of terrible dreams. I was dreaming about drowning the dogs and the pit bulls in the pool.
Oh,
there's all kinds of stuff was coming up for me.
Yeah.
And and for Sarah, who holds the dog so dearly to her heart, this was a very tricky thing, and it almost broke us up. Because I'm just like, let's just forget these dogs. What the hell? They're crazy. They've got no impulse control.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on?
I didn't know you forget these dogs. You never said that.
For what?
He said what he was thinking. He said what he was thinking. What he was thinking.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I mean, so we're, so that was a tough one, and it was a lot to work through, and I had a lot of anger to let go of, and anger at the dogs and everything. But a lot of what eventually swung me around, aside from talking to you, what swung me around to liking the pit bulls again was, the fact that my cat is almost fully recovered.
Mm-hmm.
That certainly didn't hurt things. But also watching the way they are with my children.
Mm-hmm.
They are, what I've come to realize is they're the most sensitive and most tuned in of any other dog that I've been around to their owners, their pack, whoever it is. They are so, Donkey will go off, she'll disappear. She was easy for me. As long as she wasn't attacking other dogs, she'd just do her thing, I'd do my thing. I didn't need to pay much attention to her.
Right.
Brush her hair every couple of weeks, whatever. Give her a bath every couple of months, and she's a pretty smelly and itchy dog anyway. But the pit bulls are much more sensitive, and they want to be around you all the time, and they're looking at you, and they're feeling everything that you're going through.
Right.
And it's so sweet with the kids, and the kids are really enjoying their time with them. So, and to say, okay, well, all right, so these dogs are okay. And obviously this woman that I love loves them so deeply that she would do anything for them.
Right.
So how do I put all of this together, with my desire to just dominate them and get them away, put them in their place completely. But it turned out that I had a lot of feeling within myself of, being afraid of dominance, like what you were talking about in the opening. It's just something that was translating into the work that I do, leading people on a film set, trying to get people to do what I want them to do, and to really be dominant in an effortless way, is what you've been talking about.
Yes.
So, we're watching them. The first time we brought all 3 dogs to you, and it gave me a really joyful feeling that kind of surprised me to see Donkey running around with the other dogs, and how happy she was, because I had just, written it off that she'll never be able to be with other dogs ever again. So, this whole process has been really interesting, in that way of how do we take these guys that require a higher degree of awareness when you're around them. They're not dogs that are just going to lay there all day. They're very sweet, but they have this thing that when it gets activated, they've got these massive heads and these huge jaws, and they can kill things, and they can really harm people. A little a Shih Tzu or something that's going around biting people isn't going to cause much consternation.
Yeah, and that's the only pass that they get. That they're not going to create that much damage, but this is a powerful breed.
Yeah.
That's why it's important to put in place the program that I've told you and what to do, and you've been successful with that.
I'm sorry. I've been really, really into it, and really watching it, and really enjoying the way that they've been responding to me. Sarah is very used to loving them and worrying consistently about their feelings, and it just occurred to me. I said, I don't really care whether these dogs like me or not. What I want them to do is to feel safe around me.
Yes.
And I want them to feel like I am taking care of them, and all they've got to do is their job, which is to be good pets, and to sit there and give Sarah the eyes that she needs when they look at her, and snuggle up with my children and all of that kind of stuff. And maybe I'll have a little moment with them here and there. But I don't need that. I just need them to be cool.
Right.
And because people I love them, they're part of my family, and I will take care of them. And as a result, they love me now.
Yeah. You see that love, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because that's interesting for a person in your situation. You actually had the kind of dog that you needed that was kind of aloof. That's why you kind of like the cats. But you've noticed that by being a leader, that these dogs love you. That's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
It's a powerful statement.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because what they do, and I noticed this with Donkey, because she used to freak out when I would walk her, even though I would keep her close to me, and keep control of her. There, we'd see another dog, she would freak out. I had a kind of a realization watching her one day that, well, what she really is doing, she's trying to protect me. She thinks that I'm vulnerable, so I would put myself in between her and the perceived threat, and she would calm down immediately. Just inside of myself, relax, project relaxation, project power, project strength, project protection.
But now you're doing
it.
She
didn't have to do that. Suddenly she's fine.
Exactly. And Sarah, I want to bring you in because you've been on the show before, And I just want to say, well, first of all, I got to say that, hey, man, I am happy for both of you, because there are people who were listening to this show before when she first came on, and they were thinking, yeah, that's not going to work. But you guys are doing it. You're doing it, Sarah.
Yeah.
You're making it happen. And I know, this is always a work in progress, and I know you're the emotional one, and because, Hank mentioned that dogs are sensitive, especially this breed, you are sensitive too. And so, they kind of feed on this, And that's why it's good to have that balance between you and Hank, because, as he said, you can do that love and affection, but then at the same time, he knows that he has control of the dogs, and so this makes this family work.
Yeah, I think it's true. I mean, I do get very annoyed when we come home and both of my angels go over to him first.
Right.
To greet him. It's really annoying, but I guess it does make me admit that he's got the right. It's just our dogs are very different, and I mean, the ultimate goal with this situation is to get the 3 dogs to get along. That is the ultimate goal for us.
Right.
And I think what's also worth mentioning is the fact that, like Hank was saying, his dog, Donkey, and my dogs, Leilani and Hudson, they're very different dogs. And I know that one of your rules is fairness, equality. The dogs have to feel the same pressures at the same time.
Exactly.
And that's, I think, were it not for that, which is definitely more my fault and the kids' fault, because the pits they want to be with you, they want to, snuggle up with you. I don't snuggle with them as much anymore, which is also a bitter subject, but it's fine. It's for the greater good.
Yeah.
But the dogs are treated very differently, and I think were it not for that, and I think we'd be a lot further along in letting these dogs roam together. But they roam at your place together all the time.
Yeah.
So it's really, they do get along. It's more us and our fear of them actually getting into a fight that would be inhibiting that more than anything.
It doesn't matter. You guys are doing it, and look, you're going to have these dogs for a long time. And I always tell people, don't rush this thing, because when you rush it, you make mistakes, and you go 2 steps back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back, and then it interferes with your progress. So that's why I like that you guys contact me, you stay in contact, you bring the dogs, you do everything that I ask you to do, and you're proof that this works. And when you do it, it works instantly. There's really not a lot of time involved. It's just a matter of you wrapping your brains around what it is that you've got to do. And so I wanted to have...
the dogs already get along.
Yeah. And I want to thank you guys for coming on to share with me, your story, and especially Hank, because his perspective, here's a person who really didn't care about pit bulls, didn't know anything about them. And then after the fight, he didn't care about them. And now he's able to spend that emotional time, that relationship that I'm talking about. He sees them. He sees the beauty in them, the diamond in the rough. And he sees that everyone else loves them in the family, and so it makes it easier for him to love. And I think that was a powerful statement that he said. And I want to thank you guys for coming on and talking to me. Okay?
Absolutely.
Our pleasure, and thanks for all the guidance.
Absolutely, man. It's what I'm here for. And we'll be seeing you soon, okay?
Indeed.
All right. Thank you very much. Our next guest is Natasha. Natasha, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
You have a very interesting story, too. You've got a Boston, and I want people to go to my Facebook and look at Sarah and Hank's dogs and look at Sophie, which is the dog we're talking about now. It's a beautiful Boston Terrier. And you've been dealing with an aggressive problem for, the last 2 years or so, right?
Yes.
Can you tell our listeners what you've been going through?
So we rescued Sophie about 2 years ago from the Long Beach SPCA. We were specifically looking for a Boston Terrier because we live in an apartment. My husband and I live in an apartment. We heard that they're a great apartment dog. They're also very active, so we like to go and do outdoors and things. So we thought, perfect. This breed's the perfect match for us in our lifestyle. And Sophie is a special case because she's a rare colored Boston Terrier, so it made it even more special to us to have her come home with us. The minute she came home, she's pretty timid at first, and then we thought, okay, she's coming out of a traumatic situation being a shelter dog. But within weeks or a week or two, her true colors were coming out, and she'd be running around the apartment, peeing all over the place. We would buy her toys, thinking, we work all day, this will keep her occupied. The toys we'd come home, they'd be completely demolished within, one day of giving it to her. And if you take your dog to Brandon, he'll tell you that we would buy her squeaky toys, and instantaneously she was going for the squeaker, and then after that it would be the fur, to where it was like just the bare bones of the toy. And we ended up actually the shelter had warned us that she was dog aggressive. She was in her cage all by herself, and we didn't think much of it. We were like, oh my God, this dog is too cute and too affectionate to pass up. So like any dog owner, we took her to a dog park, and within 5 minutes she was in a fight.
Wow.
Then another dog owner had picked her up by her neck because she was attacking another dog over a toy.
Right.
And so ever since then, we've never taken her to a dog park. If whenever we walk her on leashes, she instantly lunges or is barking or growling at any dog that passes by. It could be a pit bull or it could be a little terrier. She thinks she's the queen of the world, and we were at a loss on what to do, because to us she then became a human dog. Like, we only could ever bring her out where there was other humans.
Right.
Never could there be a dog present, or we were just fearful that she would be Sophie. And we were seeing Boston Buddies, which is a Boston Terrier organization, would post their dogs, and we'd read the profiles about the dogs. That we saw similarities in some of these rescue dogs, that they had this dog aggression, and we're like, well, maybe it's a breed thing. And then we saw that Boston Buddies refers most of their dog aggressive dogs to you, Brandon. So we pretty much turned to you as like a last resort, because we felt Sophie was miserable. I mean, she's a happy dog on the outside, but she would never be able to interact with another dog ever unless we got help. And we tried trainers before, we tried group training, and nothing was working. I mean, it would work temporarily within the class, and then we'd take her out and she'd revert back to how she was. So ultimately we brought her to you.
Well, we want to talk about that. First, I want to say, Boston Buddies, they are miraculous. I mean, they are really into their dogs, and they do everything they can to make sure that, the dogs get what they need. And so I'm glad that they referred you to me. And I want to say that, this dog is a beautiful dog, and anyone should go to the Facebook, take a look at the dog. But when your dog came into me, some dogs have separation anxiety towards other dogs. Now, I know it sounds weird. It's like, wow, I mean, we tried to take her and put her with dogs, but she attacked them. But it's because she doesn't know what to do with them. Okay? Because every animal or anything that looked like an animal that you gave her to enjoy was killed. Right?
Right.
And usually a dog like that, that's thinking like that, I know how the human's thinking, but I'm saying from the perspective of the dog, they usually don't like anything that their size or smaller. Okay?
Right.
So in other words, this dog may not like other Boston Terriers, because of the size. All right? So, I'm sorry?
Oh, nothing.
Okay. And so this is a socialization problem. And you've never disciplined, you never dominated this dog. So this dog only has two buttons, two speeds. That's the love and affection speed and the aggressive speed. And so this is what I call a dog that's not balanced. And so you brought her in to find out, from my perspective, is this a genetic behavior or a learned behavior? And what I found is that this was a learned behavior. But what has happened is she has learned to hormonally become imbalanced because of the things that you've been doing. And so when your husband came in with you and we started to talk and we started to reveal these things, he started to get that aha moment to see how he was contributing to this problem. And now after we've done the evaluation and put the dogs with other dogs, and you came to get your consultation and you've gone home from now, I didn't hear from you for like 3 days or so because I know I was having problems with my internet. But when we finally talked, tell me what the reality is now.
The reality was actually we came in on Saturday, and as soon as we got home, I took her for a walk, and instantly we saw a change. She was walking behind us. She would pass by. We live downtown, so she sees birds all over the place, and she used to lunge and chase them, and we'd laugh and think it was the funniest thing. And then now she just like looks at them and walks by. I mean, my husband has taken her out, and she's even brushed by dogs. Like her body is rubbed up on another dog, and there's no reaction at all.
What about in the
She'll
house?
Look and then, I'm sorry.
What about in the house?
Where?
What about in the house?
In the house?
Yeah.
It's like we've got a completely different dog. She's calm. Usually she would be running around in circles. If we want to give her affection, she'll come to us rather than her like forcing it on us. Like she used to scratch us and lick us to where, we would pet her unconditionally, and now it's like, Sophie, come here. I'm ready to give you affection.
Right.
And she's tried to bring us her like calm, because we did keep her educational toys.
Right.
But we don't throw it anymore. We used to throw it across the apartment, and she'd come back, and now it's, she'll bring us the toy, and we'll just stare at her, and then she'll eventually give up on trying to force us to play with her.
Right. But the key here is that you've learned how to discipline and dominate, and you were a positive reinforcement person. Your husband too. I heard him doing it in my office. But now you understand that you must be a leader, and this leadership is a different type of love and affection that allows for you to live on a different level now. You know? It's so important. I want to bring in Susanna at this time. Susan, are you there?
Yes.
Susan was a person like yourself that did a lot of love and affection, positive reinforcement. I mean, I've talked to her many times about this was the problem with her dog. And she has a dog named Mako. And Mako is one of the dogs that's in my seminar that I did at LA Trade Tech College, where you see two dogs rise up together and hug each other, growling for an act of dominance. And she had a problem with the love and affection. She did not want to give it up. Although she would say, I'm not being affectionate, I knew deep down inside that it was still happening. But what happened with her is she had adopted a dog right before she was leaving town, and Mako was coming to board with me, and the dog was returned. I now know why that dog was returned, because they couldn't handle the dog, the energy level, the vocalization, as I mentioned in the beginning of the show, the howling and the barking and the whining and the crying. And now the dog came to me to board along with Mako, and I put them together. And she had never thought that Mako would be able to be with another dog. And so when she walked into my waiting room to pick up her dog Mako, and I brought this beautiful dog out, Casper, with her, Susan, tell us what you felt.
I could not believe my eyes. I mean, I never thought in a million years that Mako would ever, be friends with another dog.
Uh-huh.
The problem, yes, you're right. I gave him a lot of affection. Mako in the house is a perfect dog. He's really very obedient and everything. The problem, as you know, the genetic problem that he has from the street.
Right.
And he was very, very aggressive, even with any dogs.
Right.
So I thought it was a lost cause.
Yeah.
And the fact that you did a proper introduction between the two really helped. Mm-hmm. And but I was very cautious. And I realized, after all the pep talk you were giving me, that I have to change.
Yeah.
And which I did.
Yeah.
And then I was, given, being the only dog, I didn't have to deal with another dog in the house. He was good in the house. Okay. The walk with Mako in the beginning was horrible.
Yes.
It took me a long time to try to tame him down, which is then it because it was me.
Right.
I realized that I have a hot temper, and I get mad and angry, and he felt that energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then he never responded. One day I said, enough is enough. So I took a deep breath, and I calmed myself, and it was totally a different story when he walked.
Mm-hmm.
He was very, very gentle. Of course, I walk in very early in the morning because I know what happens with the dogs around.
Mm-hmm.
But even though everything triggers him, a bus, skateboard, motorcycles, birds, noises, he becomes very skittish.
Mm-hmm.
But he reacts, but after that, he calms down, which before he never did because I was very angry.
Right.
When the Casper came here, and Mako, I said, they're getting along pretty good. And I really felt so much confidence, but I was really careless because it was new. And he was an interesting thing. What happened, why Mako attacked Casper, is because at that time my roommate came, and I was in the bedroom. Of course, Casper, as a puppy as he is trying to greet this girl, and Mako got jealous and attacked Casper.
Yeah, but I want to back up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is very important for people that are listening.
Mm-hmm.
When you came to my facility and I brought those dogs out, I said, look,
Yeah.
I want you to take them back with a muzzle on, Mako.
Yeah.
And then I got to tell this part, okay? I got to do
Yes.
it. So we're in the waiting room, and I said, this is how you're going to do it when you go home. And
Mm-hmm.
you could not believe that he was with another dog, and they were playing in the waiting room.
Right.
And you asked me, you said, can I take the muzzle off? I said, of course, take it off. So you took it off, and they're just having a great time and the whole bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, now, when you go home, you keep this muzzle on him for a period of time because there's an adjustment period. Now, I'm talking about experience. I'm not talking about looking at the symptom. The symptom is that they're doing great.
Right.
The problem is he's a jealous dog. He's a spoiled dog. He's been an only dog, and he's not used to sharing in the beginning, especially love and affection from people.
Right.
So you got home, and I remember I got that text, and I texted to Leroy, and it says, I don't think we're going to be needing this muzzle. He's doing so well. And I said, Suzanne, and you said, I think it's going to be okay. So I text Leroy. I'm telling you this now for the first time. I text Leroy, and I said, look, it's probably going to happen sooner than I think. He's like, what do you mean? I said, well, they're going to get in a fight. And some people, my grandmother used to tell us a long time ago, she said, a hard head makes a soft ass. Okay. And so we're just waiting. And sure enough, I got that call. And I told your daughter when she called me, I said, we knew it was going to happen. But it's okay. Some people got to go through that.
Right.
And you needed to go through that fight. There's some people, I don't tell them that they're going to have to go and fight in order for the rehabilitation to be complete. I don't tell them that because sometimes that's too horrific to understand. Mm-hmm. But I know in certain situations it's going to happen. In your situation, I knew it was going to happen. And the thing is, Mako doesn't want to let go.
No.
Okay?
No. That was the scary part.
Yes. But you went through this, Susan. That's why I'm having you on the show, because it's so powerful that you went through this. You now see it. You've seen the rehabilitation from the beginning to the end, and you know for a fact no amount of positive reinforcement would have helped you or would have got you where you are today. This is about leadership, not about being an abuser and going off. And this is about leadership, and you know this now. And tell our viewers how important that is.
Oh, yes. I mean, I realized because the main thing is I was fearful. And with the whole thing. So I realized that the fear and everything I was feeling, they felt it too.
Right.
So I said to myself, I have to get rid of this fear, otherwise I won't make it.
Right.
So one day, that day on, I said, this is it. I'm the boss over here. Okay.
Right.
So I told that then when I put my foot down and I said, you guys are going to listen to me, and that I didn't have to strike. They watched my body language. I didn't have to say too much.
Right.
Only by looking at them, they respect me.
Yes.
Which before it was just crazy.
For years.
You're crazy.
Right.
I am crazy too.
Right. Right. Exactly. That's a good one.
So, so when I changed my attitude, it's consistency. It's not just one day, because I'm lucky that I'm able to stay home and to watch this dog day and night.
Right.
And I was constantly, correcting them, mainly the puppy, which, typical, how they are, kind of stubborn, do a lot of things. But Mako is the oldest one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very proud of him, because now he looked at me and he waits for me and to see what is my next command.
Mm-hmm.
Which before he was kind of a little crazy, doing his own thing. And now, because I changed my attitude, which is, I said, it's the only way. If you change your attitude, you portray that the leadership, like you're saying.
Right.
And I told them, I'm the boss over here, you guys. You're going to listen to me.
Yeah, and you know what's important? The reason why you had to go through this, for years, Mako has been flipping you off.
Right.
For years, this dog has been doing this. Okay?
Yes.
Doing his own thing.
I shed a lot of tears with this guy. I didn't want to give up.
Yeah.
Because I know that he was not adoptable for the way he is. I'm the only one that would put up with him. But
Right.
I have to change. If I don't change, nothing would happen, and this relationship would be totally ruined between the two.
Yeah. There's a saying, I've said it before, and I was watching, it was a movie called The Matrix, and in The Matrix there was a fight scene, and one of the guys said, you never truly know someone until you fight them.
Mm-hmm.
And I connected to that, because you never truly know a dog or the level that a dog will take things until there's a fight. That's why we set them up to fail, to produce the emotional stimulant so that we can actually gauge the dog.
Right.
And that's what happened here. You now know Mako for the first time, but it took that Casper, that other dog, to bring them into your house so you could actually see the potential danger that's there before you were able to make a change. It took all these years, but you're there now.
Yeah. Yes. I was doing it wrong. You were
Yes.
telling me all the time. Finally, I got it. The thing, I thought I was doing it,
Yes,
but I was not doing it the way it's supposed to.
exactly.
And then, and now I realize that you don't have to really, I don't have to scream at them.
Right.
I just, a strong voice is enough. I mean, I have two pit bulls over here, okay? They're strong dogs.
They're very
I'm the
strong.
only one.
Yes.
And I said, I can handle them.
Uh-huh.
He said, I can handle them if you change your attitude.
If you change your attitude. That's why I wanted you to come on with Natasha. Natasha, you there?
Yes,
I want you to hear what you got to do 24/7 until you program yourself. I want you to practice this tough love. You've got many years to be with this dog, and I don't want this dog looking at you as a pack member. I want him to see you as a leader. Okay?
Yeah.
And this is what Suzanne has done. She is a leader now. And I remember many times Leroy and I have a conversation and we say, oh, man, I don't know if she's going to get it. She won't let it go. I know she's not telling me the truth, but I'm not going to push her because that's the only dog she's got,
Mm-hmm.
But when I got those emails from you and you told me that you were doing it your way, I said, well, here it is. Finally, it's going to happen. It's going to happen the way it needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And you're there, man. You're there. I'm so proud of you, Susan.
Oh, thank
because
you.
Mako is a dog, and people, if you're listening, nobody would have put up with this dog.
No.
I mean, he has gone to trainers and behavioralists that said that it just can't be done. Okay?
Yeah.
This dog, I mean, it's genetic. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't want to, can't say it any other way. But when I talk about genetic behaviors and learned behaviors, and then whatever's learned can be unlearned, and whatever's genetic, we have to determine on a scale of 1 to 10 where that genetic range is. Most dogs are 1, 2, 3, and everything else is learned. So with Mako, the scale is high, but even though it's high, with this information that I'm telling you, this knowledge, you've proven that it can be done. You got the most difficult dog that I've had in a long time. I want people to know that.
Yes, yes, okay. I know that.
Oh my gosh, the time is rolling. I want to thank you, Natasha, for coming on. Thank you, Susan. I want to thank Sarah and Hank for coming on the show. I would love to have you on again. We're going to keep people posted of what's going on. Thank you for coming on to the Fouché Way radio show. I will see you again here next Thursday, same time, same place. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
You're listening to Fouché Way with Brandon Fouché, right here on LA Talk Radio.